What's up, everybody? Justin here. I'm back finally. I know it's been a really long time since I've done a video. I cannot begin to tell you how busy I have been. You can also hear I am not sick again. I'm still sick. I've been sick for a month. I have this chest congestion shit I can't get over. And it sucks because Father Befouled, we're playing a show tonight. I'm going to have to try to sing, yell, growl with this nasty shit. So we'll see how it goes. I've been busy. My work has been really, really busy. Life has been busy. And I just have not had time to do this. So we're back for another collection video, CD collection video. We're in the H's still. We're going to get into the I's a little bit. But I'm going to try to get back in the swing of doing these more regularly again. Sorry that it has been almost a month. First, we're listening to Disgorge, Forensic. So, I talked about Disgorge in the CD collection videos a few videos ago. Disgorge Mexico is one of my favorite, like, nasty kind of gore grind bands. They're probably my favorite. When it comes to that style of music, they're number one for me. And I feel like Disgorge Mexico took the sonics of, like, war metal, like Blasphemy and Conqueror and Black Witchery, and wrapped it around this nasty gore grind sound, because it's just disgusting. But Forensic was their first album, came out in '99, and I recently had the honor to do the layout for an LP re-release and a cassette release. I don't think there's ever been a cassette release of it. So the cassettes are ready. They're available now from Parasitic Records. I will put a link below. And this is a copy that I have. So we did the original artwork, but we did a whole new layout with some nasty pathological photos. And there's credits and band members stuff. There's not room to put all the lyrics in the cassette J-card, but they are in the LP version. So if you like this kind of stuff, I hope you will go pick up a copy of this. Man, this record, this band is a fucking classic. So, into the CD collection, I have first a couple of albums by the band Howling. Howling was a death metal band formed by Vanessa Nocera, who is half of Razorback Records. She's married to my buddy Billy. And Wayne Sarantopoulos, who is the drummer in my band Father Befouled and the drummer in Coffination. He's been my friend for a really long time. And the way Howling came about is Wayne recorded drums for an album. Just no music, just sat down and recorded drums for a death metal album. And, off the top of his head. And whatever album that was never happened. So then Vanessa sat down, or no, this guy, Tony. Tony wrote all the music to it, and then Vanessa does all the vocals. And I think she played bass on it. No, Tony played bass. Anyway, it became Howling. And I want to say that by the time this came out, Wayne had recorded the drums a long, long time ago and wasn't involved in the creation of the band. I don't remember. I did the layout for this, which I'm really, really stoked on, because it's got this old, like, worn edge texture on it throughout the whole thing, which I thought was really cool. I took the edges, I scanned an old VHS tape, and carefully took all the worn edges off of it and put it on this layout. But the artwork is by Slasher Designs, and I can't remember that guy's name. What's his name? Justin Osborne. And it was shortly after this came out, it was revealed that Justin Osborne had stolen a bunch of art. Like, he'd take an old, like, horror movie poster, and he would copy one little part of it, and then draw the rest of the artwork around it. Which was silly, because it's like, he's obviously talented enough to make this art. Why incorporate, why copy these pieces from other artists? It never made sense to me. And there was a huge backlash from people who used his art and people who were still supporting him and people who vehemently just didn't support it. And it's not like he was taking, you know, a picture and putting his name on and say, I drew that. But he would copy the arm out of some old horror movie poster and then draw a new figure around using that arm. It was really weird. But he kind of cut and pasted a lot of stuff without saying, hey, look, I used this as inspiration. I don't know. Anyway, after that, they did this one, Tear the Screams From Your Throat, which I have never even fucking opened this copy. I've heard this. When it came out, Billy gave me 4 or 5 copies. And I had one that I would listen to, and I think that I gave it to someone and then pulled one of the sealed ones and stuck it on the shelf. But this was an EP. The art on this was by Mario Lopez, who does a lot of art these days for Razorback releases. He's a really, really killer artist. But this is more just kind of horror-inspired death metal. But it was good, and I wish they would... I really liked Vanessa and Wayne and Tony and a bunch of other people in that Razorback Records camp have done a lot of releases, and Howling was one of my favorite ones. So, next we have a band I really, really like, Hour 13. So, Hour 13, of course, is a doom band. They were from North Carolina, and it was kind of the brainchild of a guy named Chad Davis. And Father Befouled played a show about 10 years ago in Nashville, Tennessee. And at the time, Hour 13 was in its infancy, just like Father Befouled was. And they had one album, I think, and Chad had started this black metal band, and the black metal band played with us, and me and Chad became friends, and we've been friends ever since. I have all of the Hour 13 stuff on vinyl. I preferred to buy, I like the really analog, like traditional doom sound, kind of horror doom sound that they play, and I prefer that on vinyl. But Chad gave me this. We played another show together, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and this had just come out, and he gave me a copy. This came out in 2012. So, this was the third album. It's called 333. It came out on Earache Records. And it's fucking killer. It is just really, really solid, traditional doom. It's got kind of an old heavy metal feel to it. It's very, you know, gloom and grim, and it's perfect for listening to in the middle of October. So, Hour 13, it's funny, after every album, the singer would quit. And then Chad would recruit someone to sing, but then by the time a new album came around, Phil Swanson would rejoin. And then after this, I believe he quit for good. Now, Chad moved to San Francisco a couple years ago and has started Hour 13 again. And right now, I think he's playing everything. He played everything in the beginning. The albums were always just him with Phil singing. But the new stuff is he's put out, he's released a couple of songs. It has kind of like a death rock feel to it, almost kind of Samhain influenced. But it's good. And Chad is singing now. He's got a killer voice for this stuff. Never knew the man could sing like that. But killer band. I think they got kind of a shitty deal with Earache, and that led to them kind of breaking up. It was, you know, get stuck with Earache or just not do anything. So, next, here is something odd. The soundtrack to House of a Thousand Corpses. So, like a lot of you metal fans, I'm a big horror movie fan. And I've been into horror movies and buying horror movies for about 20 years. I never liked horror movies as a child. And I may do a horror movie video or set of videos, because I've got probably 500 horror movie VHS tapes, several hundred DVDs. So that might be something. If y'all want to see that, let me know. I'll talk about some. Anyway, I've been into horror movies for a long time. I did not like them as a child, but I loved going into the video store, going to the horror section, and looking at the VHS tapes. And I was just mesmerized by the covers. And they terrified me. I was like, I'm not watching that. This looks fucking scary as fuck. And when I was a teenager, I finally was like, I want to watch some horror movies. I had never seen a fucking horror movie. So, started renting them and realized that the box covers, you know, the movies rarely lived up to how horrific the box looked. But I grew to appreciate the art of the horror movie. And when a horror movie is done right, man, I'll get into that. Anyway, so I've never liked Rob Zombie. I've never liked White Zombie. I was never a fan of that stuff. But in the late 90s, the rumor was, you know, Rob Zombie is a huge horror fan, a real horror fan. And he's made this movie. It's called House of a Thousand Corpses. And I was like, that sounds fucking awesome. It sat, you know, unreleased for several years, and it finally got released around like 2000, I think. 2001, 2002, something like that. It had been made for 3 or 4 years. My wife and I remember we had to drive a couple hours out of town to go see it. It didn't play in our town, and I fucking loved it. It was, still do. I think he really nailed that kind of like horrific, terrifying vibe in a movie. You know, I watched it recently. It's still unsettling. It makes you, it's creepy. It's creepy as fuck. All the characters are creepy as fuck. And the atmosphere and the pacing, I love it. Anyway, I'll get into that in another video. I bought the soundtrack. There's a couple of songs in here I really, really like. Now, there are some Rob Zombie songs on here that I like in the context of listening to this soundtrack. I don't like Rob Zombie, though. But everything on this is great. Killer Ramon song on here. My favorite Buck Owens song is on this, Who's Gonna Mow Your Grass. Really, really, really killer soundtrack. Killer movie. I'm gonna link it below. If you haven't seen it, you like horror movies, go check it out. Don't write it off because it's Rob Zombie. All right. Next we have, I think you say this, Hrizg. It is Hrizg. And they are from Spain, I believe. Spain or Portugal, somewhere like that. One-man black metal band. This came out on Wraith Productions probably 10 years ago. And it's really grim, riffy black metal. One of my favorite black metal releases of all time is an EP by a Spanish black metal band called Urkai. And I don't have a copy of it. It's kind of hard to find back in the day, and it's probably on Disgorge now for a couple bucks. I need to look it up. But this reminds me a little bit of Urkai. It's just cold and riffy and kind of triumphant sounding, but it sounds the way it looks, grim and black and white black metal, and I love that shit. So next we have Huggy, I don't know, Hugi with Solar Leoid. This is kind of a spacey black metal project. Came out on Regimental Records out of New Jersey years and years and years ago, 2005. And I listened to this back then, but I do not remember anything about it. But I always thought it looked rad. I like the kind of cosmic, you know, look to it. I don't know who's in this band or anything about them. But I want to say that these guys are part of other bands that are more known. I can't remember though. But I need to listen to this. I always was intrigued by the way, you know, the presentation of this album. Next, we have 2 copies. One is sealed of Human Excoriation. Virulent Infestation. This came out on Crematorium Records, and it is just brutal death metal. The best I can remember, brutal death metal. Look at this shit. So, that jackass from Pathos Productions got to put his fucking name on everything. So, I mean, man, look, his sticker's in the back too. So this shit was released by Crematorium Records, whoever the fuck that was, in France. So this guy distributes them, opens up every copy, puts his fucking sticker on the CD, puts a sticker on the back, and puts his fucking shit inside of it. Just trying to fucking jump on the back and ride the nuts of every fucking label out there. Do your own shit. Next, we have another brutal death metal CD, Human Filleted, with Blunt Force, Embludgeonment, Severed Records. To the best of my knowledge, this is just more kind of standard, generic, super brutal death metal. I don't remember much what this sounds like. I love this kind of stuff, but so much of it is interchangeable. There's the handful of things that I love and know really well, and then there's the dozens of things I own that I throw on at once, and, you know, I don't remember much of it. Then we have Hunter's Moon with The Serpent's Lust. This is a black metal band, thrashy black metal, I think. They're Australian. This is an EP. Well, it's only 6 songs. It might be 6 long songs. Came out in 2009, so it's almost 10 years old. And I remember this being kind of pushed pretty hard. But I don't remember who is in it. Given that it is Australian, it is dudes from other Australian black and death metal bands, because that's how that scene works. That's not a bad thing at all. But you got a lot of quality bands, a lot of quality dudes. I don't remember really caring for this, but I'll have to check it out. I'll have to listen to it again. I just don't remember. Then we have, I don't know how to say this, Sisyphrone, and the void shall pierce their eyes. This is still sealed. This came out on Black Plague Productions, which is a division of Malignant Records. I'm going to assume it's some sort of dark ambient, you know, industrial type music. I got a big package from Malignant one time, and I'm still wading through some of the stuff that's in it. But I need to check this out because it looks cool. Then I have Suicide Fixation by Hypothermia. So Hypothermia is one of the bands that I consider kind of ground zero for DSBM. And when I first started doing Hills of Sephiroth, that I talked about a couple videos ago, I was in contact with Kim from this band, and we used to talk a lot and trade and stuff. And I've got several Hypothermia tapes. This is the only thing I have on CD, but this was I want to say this was the first album. And it is nasty, depressive, suicidal black metal. And I don't listen to that kind of stuff. There's a very select few bands that I like, and Hypothermia was one of them. This was always, you know, just, it was wicked sounding. But I liked the logo, I liked the presentation. This came out on Witching Hour Records, don't know who that was. But I got this directly from the band, you know, 14 years ago. So then we have, kind of in the same vein, I Shall Become. I Shall Become is a one-man black metal band here in the States. I want to say this is Wanderings. This was the first album, and it's, you know, morose, morbid, one-man black metal. I want to say it kind of leaned toward Judas Iscariot a little bit. You know, it's got 2 Judas Iscariot covers on it. Maybe that is what was reminded me of Judas Iscariot. But I was really into this when it came out, but I haven't listened to it in a long, long, long time. I got contacted to do the layout for a re-release of this on tape and on LP. And I did all the layout. I did new artwork for it and everything. And then it just never happened. I don't know what happened. It never came out. I want to say that the LP came out, but they didn't use my layout, which kind of irritates me. But I Shall Become has several albums. This is the only thing I have and only thing I've ever listened to. I need to get reacquainted with it. Okay, last up. Completely opposite direction. Igneous with Contragenesis. So Igneous is a death metal band from Australia, and they kind of fall in with the same thing that Father Befouled does. Father Befouled, Igneous, Dead Congregation, a couple other bands. We all started within a few years of each other. Dead Congregation was probably first. Father Befouled formed in 2006. I think Igneous formed around the same time. Doing that kind of like incantation, Morbid Angel inspired death metal. Kind of a throwback to that early 90s sound of kind of ethereal death metal. And Igneous do it just as well as bands like Dead Congregation. I really like this band. I discovered them about the same time I started Father Befouled. Love their stuff. This was their second album, I think. And it fucking is a steamroller. It crushes so hard. I have all of their stuff on vinyl, including 7 inches. This is the only CD I have. But it's just killer, killer, killer. Underrated, unheralded. People have forgotten about them. They stay quiet. They don't play a lot of shows, but they're still active. I need to look up and see kind of what they're doing. But Igneous fucking rules, and this album is probably my favorite. So, that is it. Sorry it has been so long. I will get back into doing these. I'm going to try to do it at least once a week. But I'll do them as my time allows. But let's talk about these. Talk about what you like. What are you listening to? By the time this goes up, Father Befouled would have played a show tonight. I hope it goes well. Let's talk about metal. Let's see you guys later.